Hi, it's Coach Pete. Thanks for coming back. You know, every week we're going to be here at 2:30 Arizona time, translate to your time zone, and talk about different things about family business. This week we're going to talk about accountability. By the way, one of the things about accountability is, Karen made me a nice sign that she was accountable for. You're supposed to take a picture of that. Oh, we'll do that afterwards. So here's our accountability sign. Yes. Thank you. So, yeah, this week we're going to talk about accountability, why it's so important, and the impact it can have on a family business. First of all, why is it so important? You know, success in a family business is a huge long shot to begin with. 3 out of 10 families make it from the first generation to the second generation, and then that continues with each generation. So it is really a big long shot to make it. So accountability is super important just to make it in business. So the odds are against you being successful in a family business. So you really need to figure out accountability. That will help a lot. Accountability is also at the core of building trust. Accountability is about reliability. So when you're reliable, when you're consistent, when you do what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, that builds trust. That builds a stronger relationship. What am I accountable for with you? Anything? Okay, anyway, so we're accountable to each other. That's how we build a strong relationship. Customers, that's as a business, when you're reliable, when you do what you say you're going to do, that's how you build a good business. That's how you keep customers. In family businesses, a lot of family businesses can get kind of lulled into a sense of security. We had an 87-year-old 89-year-old family business, and so it's easy to kind of think like, oh, we've been successful, we're going to be successful forever. I get to work with a lot of family businesses all over the country, and so some of the younger generation can kind of just take a sense of, well, we've been successful for 50 years, so that means we're going to be successful for another 50 years. That really isn't always the case. So for families, they can kind of get lulled into that false sense of security. So family leaders need to instill humility and hard work into a family business. They really need to let people know that even though we've been successful for a long time, even though we might be part of a good family business, that doesn't mean we're going to be that going forward into the future. So we need hard work, we need accountability. Where accountability can show up in a family business is like having part-time jobs in high school in an early age, being responsible for paying for your car and your insurance. I went to a very nice high school here in town, and I drove an old beat-up Chevy that I had to pay for with my own money, and it's one of my sources of pride. There were other guys that were driving in the brand new Trans Am that Dad had bought them, and I don't know if that turned out that well for them. It meant a lot to me to pay for my own car, pay for my own insurance. You know, being required to be in sports and other school activities, that's what I see with some really great families. They require that of their up-and-coming generation. You know, achieving certain levels of success in school and high school and in college, and maybe requiring next gen to work outside of the business. It's really an important thing that I encourage most family businesses to do. Make the next generation work outside of the business, have some success, hold them accountable to that. Don't just make it too easy for them to come into the business. What accountability looks like in action: making clear requests with time frames. I'd like you to do blank by this time. So in some families, in some different places, it's like they're very loose, they're very sloppy about the requests that they make, the promises they make to each other. So in a high accountability culture, we're clear about the requests, they have time frames. We know, in my world, we call it what the conditions of satisfaction are, what that's going to look like. It's not vague. When I say I'm going to do this, you're very clear about what it is. And then letting people know if you're not going to deliver on what you said. Really important thing. Again, I do coaching in non-family businesses. I teach leaders that if people say to you, I'm going to have this to you by Tuesday afternoon, make it their responsibility to report back to you. If you're not going to get it done by Tuesday afternoon, it's their responsibility to come back and say, hey, I know I had this deadline. I'd like to now recommit to this time frame. So in a culture of accountability, those are the kinds of things that you hear. Don't go chasing them down. Say to others, when you make a promise to me, my expectation is that you're going to keep that promise, or you're going to let me know if you're not going to be able to keep it. I'm kidding. I was just seeing if she was still with me. And then making responsible complaints. So when people don't do what they say they're going to do, you want to hold them accountable. And the other thing I was going to say about that is, you got to do that in a responsible way with a warm heart, having a culture of accountability. It doesn't mean blaming others, making them feel bad, all of that. It just simply means saying, hey, you said you were going to do blank, and I noticed it didn't get done. What's up with that? I mean, like, doing it in a reasonable way can really make a big difference. So when I think about it, what stops a family from embracing accountability? I think of a few things. One is they're afraid to hurt the relationships. I've talked about that in other of these sessions. People are like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. It's like, set all that aside. If you do it the right way, that should have a minimal impact. You say to people, here's what you said you're going to do. Here's the impact it had on me. So don't be afraid to hurt the relationship. Learn how to hold people accountable. Learn how to inspire accountability in a decent way, in a good way, not blaming, making people wrong, and putting some sort of guilt trip on them. And speaking of guilt trips, another thing that I learned a couple years ago is something called emotional blackmail. So I had somebody that I worked with, tried to hold him accountable, and then he got all, brooding and, not very nice with me. So that was like emotional blackmail. That was his way of saying, if you hold me accountable, I'm going to be, kind of a jerk to you. Don't do that. There's a lot of that goes on in families. If somebody holds you accountable in the right way, keep your chin up. Try to do a better job next time. Make a better request. I heard somebody the other day, well, a client I was with just a couple days ago, I said, so what can I hold you accountable to that? And he said, I'd like to do this many of this between now and when we get together again, because I want to be realistic with myself. I know I could say I'm going to do this many, but I'm going to say I'm going to do this many. So people have to make, good promises, make clear promises. And then the other thing that can get in the way of accountability is inconsistency. So it's really hard if you're accountable 1 minute, 1 week, not the next. I was just at a company this morning. We talked about having accountability across the board on the little things and the big things. This particular company said, I think we're really good at the big things, but we're pretty bad at the little things. Accountability is like integrity. It's like the integrity of a building. It's like every brick really matters. So it's hard to have kind of accountability here and not there. Integrity is integrity. Accountability should be something you model up and down in all of your promises. So here's some reflection questions for you and your family. How would you rate your family's culture of accountability? Are you really good at it? Are you terrible? Somewhere in between? Inconsistent? Some people are better than others. Where are you as a family? And what gets in the way of accountability in your family? What stops you from getting an accountability, being an accountability? Too much coming at you? Again, vague promises, emotional blackmail. What's getting in the way of more accountability in your family business? And how's accountability impacting your family business success or your family harmony? So one of the things that comes up in a family business is 2 or 3 siblings are really good at getting their stuff done consistently, and then the other 2 are not very good at all. And what kind of example is that setting for the staff, for the employees, and what impact is that going to have on your business? That's what I've got this week for accountability. And one of the other ways you're accountable, like we said we're going to be here every Thursday, and so that's one of the ways you hold yourself accountable, by putting bold promises out there and putting time frames. I said we're going to be here at 2:30 every Thursday. Arizona time. And sure enough, we're scampering around at 2:25 to just be here for 2:30. So we'll be here. I hope you'll come back. I hope you'll share this with family or friends, and we'll also post a blog post about it that you could read that. And then lastly, I'd like to say that a week or two ago, a little something flew by and I clapped my hands and killed it right in the middle of the show. And Karen asked me to not do that. So today I was accountable for not doing that. It flew by and I kind of did this, but I didn't hit it. I think that's all I've got today. I hope you'll come back. I hope you'll share it with a friend. Give us feedback. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to speak about. If you have any questions, send them my way and I'll speak directly to you and put it on an upcoming show. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Be accountable. See you soon.